Eu diria para você que a candidatura Lula hoje é uma realidade, que só pode ser impedida por uma decisão judicial.
Worshipped by some, hated by others, there are few more polarizing figures in Brazil today than former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Better known simply as Lula, the former president ruled Brazil between 2003 and 2010. His government was credited with lifting millions of poor above the breadline through minimum wage rises and social welfare benefits. His background as an immigrant from Brazil's poor northeast allowed him to connect with the country's lower income earners better than any other president before him. But since then, he has come under attack for alleged corruption.
De juiz dizer, eu não preciso de prova, eu tenho fé, vou votar com fé. Eu quero provas, alguém tem que dizer, sabe, qual é o crime que eu cometi, aonde que eu cometi.
There are today 5 investigations into wrongdoing against him. Even so, he is increasingly being touted as a possible candidate for elections next year. If he stands again, it would be one of Brazil's boldest political comeback attempts.
I'm standing outside the Lula Institute in São Paulo. The Lula Institute is the think tank of the former president. Prosecutors allege that there were irregularities in the acquisition of this land. They also allege that the president received favours from large construction companies in exchange for contracts at state-owned oil company Petrobras. These include the use of a beachside apartment in São Paulo and also a rural getaway. The former president says that this is all a smear campaign to try to prevent him from running in next year's elections.
Analysts say a Lula comeback would face stern resistance. A conviction for corruption would be fatal for Lula's electoral chances. In Lula's favour, however, is the unpopularity of the new president, a conservative, Michel Temer. Temer is trying to pass unpopular reforms, such as an overhaul of the pension system.
Se nesse momento da reforma da Previdência, que é a reforma fundamental proposta pelo governo, o Congresso não sustentar o governo, eu creio que o risco do governo não acabar é um risco bem grande.
There is also a lack of other possible candidates with the same charisma as Lula. Analysts say Lula's rejection rate in the polls is extremely high at about 66%. But this could be reduced during campaigning. Indeed, the party continues to draw new supporters, including young people such as Carolina Bueno, a history graduate who works as a librarian.
Eu votaria nele, sim, porque eu acredito que o Lula é o único capaz de conseguir enfrentar esse governo do Temer, esse governo que veio com um golpe a presidenta Dilma. E a minha intenção de voto com certeza é dele por eu acreditar nas políticas do PT, por mais que o PT tenha seus problemas.
For Lula's own survival and that of his party, the former president probably sees no other option than to stand, say analysts.
É quase que uma obrigação moral de um lado para manter o legado, manter a sua história, e de outro fazer com que o lulismo e o petismo não desapareçam ou não diminuam ao ponto de não ter importância política no país.
As Brazil emerges from the dark clouds of economic uncertainty and political turmoil, Lula is emerging as a possible candidate for elections next year. If he does decide to stand, which is still a big if, it will be highly controversial. While he is much loved by his supporters of his PT Workers' Party, he is reviled by those who see the party as responsible for Brazil's recession. Whatever happens, next year's elections promise to be a period of great uncertainty for Latin America's largest country. Leahy for the Financial Times in São Paulo.